how you relate to one another is what we are campaigning for.
Very strange questions here. Suleiman says, my daughter has been pushing me. She wants to go for FGM. Why do you think is her problem? And this is not our culture.
It is the peer pressure. You know, she is facing pressure from other girls her age who have been circumcised. So all Suleiman needs to do is to sit with his daughter and explain to her that this is not good, it's a human rights violation, and explain to her the consequences that come as a result. I'm sure if he talks to her as a parent daughter, he will put some sense into her head.
Or they can go and cut her the side.
No, and it will also be against the law, Yeah.
Cut the side.
Actually, that reminds me of the story of a friend whose daughter, she didn't cut her, but she pretended that she cut her. They even had this red thing that you use for wounds to show that there's some blood and all that. And the little girl believed that she was cut. And later on, when she realized she was never cut, but understood the value of not being cut, she appreciated her mother so much.
All right. There's another one, a concern here. Somebody says, hi, in some tribes, food prepared by uncircumcised women cannot be eaten by their spouses.
Yeah, that is it. It is.
But that's very backward.
That's why I think that when we are doing the campaign, and I think from the research, some research I looked at, Kisii was also initially earlier. Kisii had a lot of FGM, but because of involving men when dealing on the campaign against FGM, a lot has been done, and the numbers have gone down. So I think when you are dealing with this issue, have the men on the forefront. Let them see the harm there is on their daughters, wives, and generally even their sisters. Why not? That we will be able to fight.
Now those beliefs are very backward, and I can give you an example from Ghana, where a community also believes that if uncircumcised girls touch their crops, the crops will die. And this doctor came and he had a field where he planted, he took a plot and he had all the girls come and water it, touch it, and still his farm grew. So he changed the mindset of that community, and you need to find out ways to deal with that.
There's somebody who is a bit concerned here, who says, this is Samson Ojiayo, concerned about this. Why do you bring everybody who is not supporting FGM while there are those who champion for it? Are there people who totally, well, the fact that we have people practicing it means there are people who champion. So
people who consider themselves as the gatekeepers of their culture, who feel we must protect our culture because my grandfather, my grandmother, everybody did it, so why should it get lost in my hands? They believe it should disappear in the hands of somebody else and say, this is my duty to my culture, I must. But what we are telling communities that those cultures have been overtaken by events. We have a new constitution where there is room for everybody to exploit their potential. There is gender equality. A girl, a boy, a man, a woman has to play their role in national development. And we have seen the effects of FGM on education. It's that I don't know what happens. Their minds just get indoctrinated into some other things, and they say there's some loose focus. We have a few cases where they don't lose focus, but that is a probability of maybe 5%, while what happens to the rest? And so we are persuading such a person to change his mindset. There is no culture which is dynamic. I want to ask that man, are they still wearing skins, hides on skins?
Does he wear shoes?
There's one a bit close to being gross, but perhaps it would be important to also mention it. Isaac from Migori says, I think the main reason for the cut is to reduce the high heat for women that may force them to go outside marriage when their husbands are not within.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Again, that's just a belief that this will happen. I mean, talk to, it's parental raising, how you brought up. I know many families who have, very good, successful girls, and they have not been cut, and because they have been brought up well. So it is not in just, closing up the woman's genitalia that will prevent anything. There are, on the other hand, other girls who have been cut, but who still, you know, go out. It's again, like Honorable Kilimo said, it's on the character, you know, and how the person, you know, grew up, and how they, you know, there are also peer pressures who always influence others. So that's not a way to think.
This one cannot go without me challenging him. Sex is in the mind. It is, when you are prepared psychologically, it will be okay. I want to ask him, these days everybody buys a radio that can catch the FM stations. Why are they why are they destroying the aerials of the women, so we don't get any?
Okay.
And in Migori, and mind you, in Migori, I know that almost every other person who has married a circumcised woman has got a second wife from the Luo community who is not circumcised.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
They look for the one who can get who has got the aerial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's another question here. Over concern. Somebody says here, FGM issue is being tackled wrongly. What's destroying? It's the fight. Its fight is tribalism, where you want inbreeding. Are we handling it the correct way? That's why perhaps it's still there. Is there a better way of handling it?
It is there because of the beliefs that it's either you know, supported in Islam, you know, the religion-wise. The Prophet, they claim, you know, had asked the woman, okay, don't do it, but don't go deep in the sayings of the Prophet. But again, the Prophet Muhammad has never, you know, circumcised his daughters, and that, you know, obvious enough, therefore to follow his example. Others say it is, you know, tradition, it is, you know, our culture, and they're so attached to it. There are also mystical beliefs in Tanzania, where they feel like, okay, if the woman even dies without circumcision, she has to be cut, otherwise her ancestors will not give her space to join them. You know, such beliefs need to be, you know, just dismissed with over time, I think, with education and challenge it.
Perhaps as we come to the close, there's another question here from Shiro. She says, I went through FGM 19 years ago. My grandmother says whoever is named after her must go no matter what. I tell you, it is horrible experience.
Wow,
You take her name, that's it.
Absolutely, she's right. It's horrible experience.
And that's why we are saying it's a culture that is really entrenched amongst communities, and we want to tell them now it has been overtaken by events, by time, by development. Yes.
All right. So perhaps final comments in regards to, you know, the fight against female genital mutilation. We can start with you, Nyamosi, Madam Nyamosi. Just a final comment.
I think on our part as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, we are actually proactive. We already have a division that the sexual and gender-based violence, which actually also deals with issues like the FGM. We have in place, we are trying to ensure that implementation of this act is perfect. Despite the challenges that we are going to come across, we'll have to deal with them, and definitely while doing this, we cannot work alone. So humbled, we have the right people in this place. We are going to work together with all the stakeholders who are ready to ensure that we put away this practice. But definitely we are going to cooperate and work well with all the other people.
Madam Faisal.
FGM is a human rights violation, and I'm very happy that the Kenyan government is taking it, you know, by appointing Kilimo and setting up the board, because a lot of sensitization has been raised by non-governmental organizations. They can never place the role of the government. You know, what we do is just a drop in the ocean. So the state has to take leadership, starting with educating and, you know, the police, who are the first call where you know, communities go to enforce the law. Not, you know, when you are informed as a police officer that, hey, there's a girl being circumcised, to say it's a private matter, but to act. Whereas you are being told there's stuff happening here, and then you run with your vehicles, but you don't have resources when it's happening to girls to be cut. So those has to change, and it will change if investment is put in the fight. And so I hope Honorable Kilima's office will receive a lot of resources from the Ministry of Finance, so that she can do a perfect job. And Kenya can be a model then for other countries to follow suit. Thank you.
Honorable Kilimo.
Indeed, Faisal has said that my office needs a lot of resources. Well, I want to say yes, financial, but the biggest resource is already in place, and that is people. And I'm calling on all Kenyans to come out and protect the rights of the girl child. Whenever we hear disaster, everybody runs there. They don't check whether they are having a shoe as they are running there. They're just going there to protect or to see what has happened. For example, in an accident or something, people just run there. And we are now saying the destiny of the girl child is under threat, especially from the FGM practicing communities. The girls, ladies from those communities are missing in action. So all Kenyans, you are my first resource to talk to your friends, your workmates, to protect the girls from their communities against FGM. And the law is there. I want to ask to tell women who are coerced or because of stigmatization, they are told they have to undergo the cut, like what happened in my county the other day. Women are told, can you cook a cabbage without cutting? We want to tell those women, the law is there for you. You simply need to report, and you will be punished for stigmatizing somebody because of what they are. And so the law is there to protect all the females of this country from these communities. And they will never know what they are missing until they discover. So there's life better. With all the myths, let us forget about myths and go what is there in reality. Female genital mutilation is detrimental in all sides, in all aspects. Health, development, education, it is not good.
All right. Hon.Jebii, you have a final word.
Well, these things will change. It must go. With time. With time it will go. Because I've seen it in where I come from. It is very rampant. But nobody now does that. Nobody.
Yeah.
It will go.
Absolutely. All right.
Great, I'm glad.
So thank you so much indeed. Let's join in the fight against female genital mutilation. It's very important. Let's be part of the fight. Thank you so much indeed. We'll be right back.